Hello wonderful viewer, welcome to What the Math, this is Anton, and today I wanted to do a little playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4, mostly because, well, first of all, this is a very complex game, so I actually wanted to not just play through it, but give you my first impressions about this game, tell you what I think has changed from previous series, especially if you've played these before, if you've played 3 or 2 or even 1. I'm going to kind of give you a run through of what's changed, and if you're a completely new player to this series, I'm going to kind of show you how to start the game. Basically, this is going to be a kind of a tutorial slash first impressions slash a miniature review of Hearts of Iron 4. Welcome, enjoy the video. So first and foremost, we're going to go into single player here, start a new game, and I'm going to jump into this scenario. So those of you who have played Hearts of Iron will notice that there's not much choice here. There's really only the 1936, which is about 3 years before the Second World War started, where you can actually play as Japan or China that have already started their war, or you can play as nationalist or Republican Spain that has a civil war going on, or you can start in 1939, right before 2 weeks before the beginning of the Second World War. Now, this is actually kind of cool. You get to kind of have these really cool portraits now, and you get to see a little bit more information about each of the governments and what kind of sort of benefits they get. Or you can actually choose a completely new country right here. And there's actually quite a lot of countries you can choose. There's all these minor countries you can actually start playing as. Normally in these types of really complex strategy games, it's easier to start as someone who doesn't really get into war, and that would be Switzerland. Switzerland is actually a really good first country to kind of try to play through, or even Sweden, because these two countries don't get into war at all. They will be left alone by everyone. So if you're new to Hearts of Iron, I would suggest to choose either one of those two. Or if you just want to kind of learn how to do everything and want to just jump into the complex simulation, but you're kind of uncertain where to start, USA is actually a really good choice. Because if you're actually playing as USA, as FDR, who dislikes Germany, according to this information here, you can actually start a pretty easy game, and you can kind of take it the way you want to take it. You don't even have to get into war. So it's a pretty easy country to play as. But we're going to start as Adolf Hitler. We're going to go into Germany, and I'm going to show you on the regular mode just what the game is all about, and we're going to start the war with Poland and try to take over Poland as soon as possible. Now, as soon as you start the game, you'll notice that there's a bunch of stuff going on, especially if you're playing as a big country, like if you're playing as Soviet Union, Germany, or even England, or France, I guess. You will notice that there's just so much stuff going on, especially if you're new to this genre. Now, first impressions coming in. First impression about this game is that look at the lag. And I'm playing on a pretty powerful computer. Now, this is actually the main concern for most of the people that have played it so far. It is not very well optimized. Compared to Europa Universalis 4 that uses the same engine, this is a laggy mess, especially later in the game where you have so many divisions moving around. Your game will be playing really slow. But this happened before with previous Hearts of Iron games, and we know that the patch is coming, and it will definitely fix things. So just wait for the patch. Now, when you start the game, first thing you need to do is make sure you're paused, and you want to jump into these icons right here. These are all of your notifications that tell you what you should be doing. So first and foremost, you need to have research going. Now, compared to previous games, research has been really simplified, but if you are new to the series, you'll notice that it's still pretty complex. You have all of these different areas you can choose from, and it's kind of helpful to go ahead and do a bit of research about the country that you're playing as. So if you're playing as Germany, Germany was famous for tanks, obviously. It had some famous airplanes. It had submarines. It had pretty good industry and pretty good engineering as well. And it had some really good infantry divisions, specifically the SS division, and even these mobilized divisions as well. So there's quite a lot of things you can do with Germany, but you need to kind of hurry up and you need to focus. Usually what I do is I go into the tanks first, and I look at which tank is not going to give me any penalty. Now you can see there's a red description here. It says this technology is 1.38 years ahead of time, so I really shouldn't be researching it yet because it's going to have a penalty in terms of research speed. This one here has even more penalty because it's sort of way ahead, and the last one here, which is E50, which is a tank that actually has never been produced, I believe. It is going to take me a really long time to produce or to research if I start right away. So instead we're going to take some artillery, which is actually always useful. We're also going to go into the second research here and get some battalions going. And I think this one here is important, field hospital, because you want to have as little loss to your manpower as possible. And the manpower is actually displayed right here. So this is the amount of people that you have in your country that are ready for war. And if you've played Hearts of Iron, you know that as Germany, with time, especially if you decide to invade the Soviet Union, you're going to run out of this pretty quickly. People will die, and they will die in millions. So you need to make sure you always have manpower. Now we're also going to go ahead and pick one of the infantry divisions. Or you know what, instead of infantry, let's actually go into naval here and pick submarine. So this one here is a little bit out of time, but I want to have Type 7C submarines. They're awesome. They're beautiful, and we wanted to have them. And actually, let's just pick an airplane. So here, we're going to go for an airplane that we may not have yet. And I think we have all of these. They're all ahead of time. Okay, so not going to be an airplane. But what's really, really important for Germany especially, it's actually to choose a land doctrine. So this is essentially a type of a research that gives all of your infantry units some kind of a bonus. Now, we have something called Blitzkrieg Doctrine, which basically refers to fast attack, fast advance, and basically securing areas as fast as possible. And this right here is perfect for us. We need this, and we're going to take that. This is going to be our last research, and it will take us only 123 days to research. All right, step 1 is finished. Step number 2. Now we have free civilian and free military factories. Now this is a completely new thing to Hearts of Iron games. So even those of you who are veterans might need to kind of do a bit of research on this. But basically you have these two types of industrial capacities now. You have military factories, which produce all of your sort of military forces, including your airplanes, your tanks, and your submarines. These are actually produced separately by something called naval dockyards, which you can produce as well. And these guys are produced by military factories. Now you can see I have 70 and I'm only using 40. So let's add a few more to, let's actually maybe produce a little bit more artillery. Let's take more fighters, more support airplanes, more tactical bombers. And I think I can also start producing medium tanks. I want to have some medium tanks going because we want to have these as well. We'll be producing 1.47 per week. Now, you may have noticed that as soon as I'm adding these, as soon as I'm actually increasing my production, my actual consumption rate for some of the materials here has decreased. So, look at that. See how it's actually decreased now? So, I need to actually start worrying about some of the resources that we've never had before. We have things like aluminum, tungsten, and chromium. These are new materials that the game has never had before, and basically now there's 6 different things you have to try to trade and make sure that you have in your country so that you can actually have full production going. But I'm also actually going to start building a little bit more interceptor craft, or I guess fighter crafts here. Let's build these because I want to have as many aircraft as possible in the air, because we're gonna have a lot of British airplanes attacking us. All right, so that's good. Now we have some naval dockyards here. I don't really know if I want these. Normally as Germany, you're not gonna be using these battleships, but we'll just keep them for now. We do want to produce more submarines though, so let's actually increase this right here to 13 so that we're producing as many submarines as possible. All right, so military production is finished. Now, what exactly are these other factories called civilian factories? So these are kind of cool. Basically, they're your producers of your happiness in the country by, producing consumer goods that will satisfy your population. And they also produce trade goods, which you can trade with other countries for things like materials that you may need. Now, as Germany, this is kind of important. So you may want to actually decide to construct more of these, or you can also use them to build any of the following. You can build more infrastructure, which will increase the efficiency of your province, but also give you more movement speed in every one of your province. But as Germany, your infrastructure is already really, really good, so you don't really need to worry about this. You can produce more air bases. This is where your airplane is stationed. Once again, as Germany, not really a big problem for us. You can produce more anti-air, which you may want to start doing as Germany, because as soon as the British come here, they will start bombarding you with all kinds of airplanes. So I would possibly recommend building up air defenses right here in this sort of region. You can also produce radar stations, which I believe, just like in previous games, increase the detection rate of your air forces, but also give your airplanes a bit of a bonus when fighting against enemy airplanes in this particular area. But the cool thing is that you can also use these civilian factories to produce even more military factories. And that is what I'm going to start building, actually. I want to have as many military factories as possible, and I'm going to build them far away from the Brits. So we're going to put them right there, I think. We're going to build a few, actually. We want to have some here as well. And this will obviously give us a much larger amount of available military production or military factories later on. So that's a pretty smart thing to do right now, because early on, before we really get into war, you may want to start building up your military sort of factories. Now, you can also obviously build other things. So you can build more civilian factories, which basically increases this number right here. You can build more naval dockyards, which basically increases this number. You can then build synthetic refinery, which as Germany is very important, because it will actually give you a little bit more oil, which you don't really naturally have as Germany. So you may want to start building this. These two come later on, and this is actually kind of important for Germany's rocket sites. This is how you'll be producing your V rockets. And then nuclear reactor is something that Germany actually had in real life as well. This is to produce nuclear weapons later on. Now, you can also obviously produce naval bases, which unfortunately for Germany you don't need, because your naval bases here are pretty good. Land forts, this is something that you want to produce right here when you take over France. This is going to be your Atlantic Wall defense against the invasion of the British and the Canadians and the Americans during the D-Day. So if you build this up dramatically, you may actually win when they decide to land here. And, this is actually coastal forts. Land forts are basically just normal defenses against land attacks, and you can kind of see some of them right here. So this area right here is actually the biggest land fort in Europe right now. This is where France has created this so-called Maginot Line, where they're trying to defend themselves against possible attack from Germany. But as history taught us before, Germany is smart. They're going to go through Netherlands and Belgium and enter France through the forest right here. And so we're going to do this at some point, but maybe not in this video. And lastly, you can also convert some of your civilian factories to military factories, especially during some more advanced stages of war, if you want to produce more war stuff. So you can actually change this into military factories later on. But anyway, so I'm going to actually build up a little bit of air defense right here, and also right here. And this will be enough for now because we're actually using up 69 factories already. So that's done. Now, we also have another button here. It says Modify Government. This is actually something that you use these political points for, and this is actually completely new. It's sort of similar to some of the other newer games, like I think it was present in Europa Universalis. It's also present in Stellaris, but it's new to Hearts of Iron. And here, political power you can use to basically change your government or add these political advisors, add these people that will help you with research. And for Germany, it's super important. Make sure that you assign, a ship designer maybe. Make sure you have some sort of aircraft designer. All of them give you different bonuses, specifically air research bonus here. This guy will give me small arms research bonus. This guy here will give me army experience gain, which is very important, and also land research doctrine bonus, and so on. So basically, assign as many as you can right away, because those start giving you bonuses almost right away. So this is not important yet because this is naval. Chief of Navy, we don't really have any need for Navy just yet. But I want to actually assign Hermann Goering to be my air support guy. And I want to take a few more. Yeah, I definitely need a high, what is it called? Military high command guy. So here, let's actually choose someone who gives us a huge bonus to everything. There we go. Infantry division attack and infantry division defense. Ferdinand Schörner. Sounds like a pretty good addition to us, or to our army. And this guy right here gives us armor division and armor division attack and defense. Now, we have one more person to add, and we can actually add a political advisor. And let's just choose someone who gives us something really cool. I think this guy right here, Ribbentrop. I believe he was actually the actual political advisor at this time, because so-called Ribbentrop-Molotov Act was signed by him between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany to basically partition Poland and to kind of sign an unofficial non-aggression pact. So he was kind of our advisor at this point, so we're done with that. Next, this is a really cool part, super nice addition, so-called national focus. Now, this you can think of as your quests. Basically, these are sort of the missions that tell you what you should be doing. Now, we already signed a Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, but the next part for us is this, Danzig or War. When you just start the game in 1936, you really won't have any of these, so these will kind of guide you to what you should be doing so that you can advance as Germany and get some bonuses. These are super important. Make sure you always have some sort of a focus here, and we're going to choose Danzig or War because or actually I can choose this as well, Danzig for Slovakia, but I want to start a war. And this will happen in 70 days, so we're actually going to start war a little bit later than it really started, but that's okay. Then we have these war goals. Now, these I personally am having trouble with because I don't really know if we need these, at least for now. But you can actually choose a goal here that will then can be used to basically declare war. But we don't really need this for Poland because we were going to start a war anyway. And this will tell you that you need to start creating divisions. So we might as well start training some divisions here, create new forces. But the cool thing about the Hearts of Iron 4 here is that they've kind of balanced this out a little bit, making this a little bit easier to create these divisions, but you can also edit them to your liking. So I can actually go in here. No, I'm not going to go here. I'm going to go in here, Panzer Division, and change them to what you want them to be. So I actually don't want to have so many light tanks. I'm going to change them to medium tanks. These are going to be medium tanks. This is going to be a combination of medium and light tank division. And I want to have these, and I want to actually construct them right now. And I'm going to actually select a location where they're going to appear. They're going to appear in Berlin. We now are going to have this division trained, and it's going to appear at some point as soon as we have enough units for it. So that's good. And the last point here is insufficient resources. So this is really, really important, especially for Germany. This is where you have to start trading. Now, luckily, they've changed this a little bit, so it's a lot easier to see. You can kind of right away see what you need and what you have surplus of. So we have tons of aluminum. We have tons of steel. We do need tungsten. We do need chromium and rubber and also oil. Luckily for us, we're friends with Soviet Union, so we're going to go ahead and start trading with them. You can kind of easily select what you want to trade, how much of it you want to trade, and so let's just send them an agreement for everything here. And just like that, we now have surplus of everything. So trade has been actually improved dramatically. It's a little bit too simplified maybe, but it's a lot easier on the eyes, and it's a lot easier to see what you need right away, who has or who gives you sort of the best deal, and so on and so forth. Now this one we're going to ignore, and so basically we're done with the sliders. It took us a while actually, but for now this is how the game is going to begin. Now this is all of these sliders are actually right here. You can go through them later on, and kind of if you need to access them, they're all right here. But now comes the fun slash, I guess, more advanced part where we need to start planning our attack of Poland. So this is where those of you who haven't really played Hearts of Iron 3 might be completely confused by all of this. And those of you who have played Hearts of Iron 3 will find yourself quite at home, but with a little bit more polish, because it's actually a lot more fun to create these armies and to basically assign commands to everyone. So, first of all, one thing you can do is you can actually control your armies directly right away. But this is not the most efficient way of doing this, because not only do you actually have to control too many armies at once, because there's just like so many of them here, and you can basically get lost in you know, the amount of people you have here, but at the same time it actually doesn't give you any bonuses. So it's a lot easier and a lot better if you select all of them and then create an army by clicking this button right here. I'm going to create this army. It's going to be our, I guess, army of Königsberg, because this is Königsberg and this is where they're located. And now I'm going to assign a commander that is going to give them some kind of a bonus. Now let's see who these guys are and what kind of bonus they give us. And actually, these are some of the most famous German generals right here, Rommel and Guderian. So we're definitely going to assign them at some point. But let's, just for the north part, we're going to choose someone like this guy right here, Reinhardt. So he's going to be our general. This is his sort of area of expertise. This is going to be his domain. And what I'm going to do now is basically assign orders to them. So you can do two things here. One is you can just create garrison area where they're going to basically defend this area. Or what we're going to do is we're actually going to create the so-called front line. Now, we're going to just think about this for a second. I think it's best if they attack this way and go in and try to take the city that's right here. I don't really know how to pronounce this. This is a very difficult city to pronounce, but if you're Polish, you probably know better than me. I'm going to create this front line. Oops, I made a mistake. Front line, there we go. So select and drag using right mouse button, and there's our front line right here. This is our front line, and now let's select where we're going to attack. Offensive line, so we're going to click that and draw a line by right-clicking, and this is our attack strategy, right? Just like this. This is where our armies are going to try to reach automatically. Now, you don't really have to do this automatically. If you're a hardcore player, you can do this manually by basically now controlling each individual unit, even though it's going to take you longer, but you might actually have more success that way. And plus, you already have a bonus from this general, so you can always do it this way. And if once you get more advanced, you can also start doing things like fall back line, where basically you tell your units where they can fall back if things are not going well for them, and so on and so forth. So now these guys are ready for attack. They're ready for war. All you have to do is, when the war starts, click this button, and they'll have their sort of main area of attack, and I don't have to worry about them anymore unless they start losing big time. Now I'm going to go and create more armies. I'm going to select all of these guys and create the Southern Army, and under the command of Erich von Manstein, they're going to go ahead and try to strike at Warsaw and basically advance right here. They're going to meet the other army right in the middle right here. Alright, so that's good. We have more units left without the army, so we're going to go ahead and assign them to a new army as well. This is going to be Urban Rommel, the infamous Desert Rat, and he is going to be attacking right here. So as you can see, we're kind of starting to form a strategy here. We have several armies approaching from different sides, and they're going to kind of meet somewhere in between while trying to disorganize and destroy the Polish army. Now, there's so many new features in this game that it's kind of crazy to mention all of them, but one of them I'm going to mention right away, this button right here, exercise. You can now actually have your units exercise in place by spending just a little bit of, I think they use a little bit of something, I forget what it is, probably some kind of a supply, and they will gain experience with time by using this. And anyway, so moving on, next army. And Hans Guderian is going to meet everybody right here. This is looking better and better. We have one more army to create. It's going to be our northwestern army that's going to attack from northwest and meet everybody somewhere in between. And here we go. All right, perfect. Maybe like this. There we go. All right, so our strategy for the invasion of Poland has been created. We now don't really have to worry about this too much because for the most part, German units are quite advanced and they won't really have to worry about anything. You can just kind of relax, you can put this on autopilot, or you can just completely do this manually as well if that's your thing. And that's actually my thing, so I'm going to do this as well. Before I forget though, I need to mention that the air support has been changed dramatically and doesn't work the same as it used to. So here, the way it works is you click on the airplanes here, and then you kind of, I believe all you have to do is just click on the region where you want them to have support, and then assign what kind of support you want to give them, or I guess give your unit. So I'm going to click on close air support. There's no ships here, so we're not going to do that. I'm also going to select, close air support, air superiority, and interception. And that's about it. So all of my airplanes will be doing all of this, supporting my units as they're attacking everyone, and this will just give them a huge bonus, and at the same time preventing enemy airplanes from appearing as well. And these guys, however, what's this? Heavy fighter, close air support. Okay, no, they'll do the same thing. Alright, so that's done. Airplanes will be supporting people. Oh, by the way, there's a night cycle now. That looks pretty cool. Also, look at the weather effects and look at all of the light effects too. It's pretty awesome. This does changes during the time of war as well. They actually start kind of burning and stuff. Alright, so one more thing you may want to do is Germany is actually create another army right here, and this is your defense army. And just select all of the units, assign them to another division, and choose a general that's not too important, so like this guy right here, and then do garrison area. So this and this. So this will protect your part of Maginot Line from the enemy forces, and the general will automatically reassign everyone as needed. So that's done. Now we have some units here. I usually don't touch these, they kind of should just stay there. And then, of course, you have ships, but we'll talk about this some other time, because that's a very complex area as well, especially as Germany, because you will be using a lot of submarines. You're going to be using these U-boats right here. And we have a whole fleet of U-boats to basically harass enemy units. And really cool sound effects have been added to the game as well, so there's that too. But yeah, don't forget to assign a commander. There's some really cool commanders you can assign to your submarines as well. Some of them are super famous. Eric Rader is pretty famous, and so is Karl Donitz. You can actually have him control your submarine fleet, and this will actually give him this will give your submarines a huge bonus. So I think we're kind of more or less ready for the war here. Oh, look at that. We have a new invitation, or we can actually invite someone to our faction to actually join us in the future war against the Allies. I think this was Yugoslavia and possibly Italy. No, that's not Italy. That's Bulgaria. All right, Bulgarians will join us as well. And that's about it. Now, so the war is about to start, and we're just going to kind of wade through this. I'm going to explain some of the more advanced stuff later on, but what we're going to do is just wait for that event to trigger, the one that is called Danzig or War. And I'm going to just advance the game just to show you that there's going to be some events appearing here, because the game has reintroduced some of the flavor events just to kind of keep it historical. And here, oh, what's happening? There's a button. Estimated plan value minus 30%. Oh, this is actually a really cool addition. So this is telling me that the plan I've created gives me a bit of a disadvantage because I have to do a river crossing, and because of something else. Yeah, it says divisions are still preparing. So don't activate the plan yet. So we're going to wait. We're actually going to wait for the plan to finish being completed, and then it will give us actually a bonus, I believe. But yeah, the river crossing will definitely give me a bit of a disadvantage. And this guy's getting the same thing because of the river crossing. But you know what? There's a river and we have to cross it. So there's that too. And the first event here says the France bans communism. This actually always appears in every game. This was an actual, I believe this was an actual event back in 1939, when a lot of countries banned communism and also fascism as well. So Nazi Germany had a lot of reasons to start different wars, because a lot of people, a lot of countries started to dislike their political beliefs. Anyway, so we're coming on to the date of Danzig or War. Actually, we still have about 30 days left. And we have a new event appearing here that tells us we have 3 dockyards. And I think that's because we just finished building something. So I'm going to start building more submarines because we need those. And we can also produce 2 more, we have 2 new factories, so we can actually produce more of something. And I think I'm going to take more light tanks. That sounds good. Excellent. All right. So let's just wait for the war, and I'm going to show you how the war progresses, and then we're going to need to stop this video. That's been getting a little bit too long. But hopefully you'll learn from all of this, because it's a very complex game. And by the way, the music has been improved dramatically. Check out the German tune playing right now. And while we're waiting for the war to start, I forgot to mention that there's actually now a counter that shows you the chance for the World War to start. And usually Germany is responsible for most of this. They're the ones that adding the most to the war factor. But once this basically hits 100, I believe that's when the entire world joins the war. Alright, so here we go. National focus completed, Danzig or War. So Danzig refers to the area right here. It's actually a city, a free city of Danzig, which Germany demanded from Poland, but Poland refused to give them the city because France and England swore to Poland that they will protect it if Germany attacks. And guess what? They lied. France has never really done... Well, actually, France tried to invade Germany and protect Poland, but it really didn't do very good at it. And then England was only able to support Poland with airstrikes, but they weren't really successful either. And so now we're about to start our war against Poland. We're going to ignore this for now. Oh, I can actually select a new national focus, and I'm going to select industrial effort, because that will give me a huge boost in industry. And here we go. Poland refuses to cede Danzig. Despite our attempts to allow Poland to hand over Danzig peacefully, they do not want to give it to us. Begin the war! Invasion begins! Alright, we're gonna pause the game. It's almost morning time, so what I'm going to do is, as you have probably guessed, I'm going to, well, first of all, close all of these. Click on all of my plans that have been prepared. Look at that. We're getting huge bonuses because we took some time to prepare. And all of my armies are now going to begin their offensive. on every single front. They're going to completely surround, oh yeah, England joined the war, completely surround Poland, and you can kind of check out each of the battles individually. So Poland has joined the Allies, Australia has joined the Allies, but for every battle, you'll get to see these little icons here, and you can kind of see how you're doing against your enemy in each of the battles. So right here, we have 4 divisions that are going to destroy this little infantry in a few seconds. So on every single front, you'll see that we're advancing and basically attacking, attacking, and attacking. And this is actually the fun part of the game. You get to plan out these actions and then watch them being executed. Now, if you don't like the automatic part, you can select each army individually and just tell them to strike somewhere. Like, I want these guys to actually attack right here. Okay, I know I can't right now because they're actually already attacking, but let's just say you have an army right here that's just walking. Guys, why are you walking? Go in here and attack these guys. And now they're attacking this infantry division. And so there you go. It's a combination of manual and automatic attack, and you can totally make it the way you want to make it. You can go full manual, you can go full automatic. It's really up to you. And I think it's been kind of, I guess, made a little bit easier from previous games. And some people actually are disliking that, but I like this. I like this new sort of way of controlling your armies, this way of assigning, generals, assigning your orders, and then manually modifying them as you see fit. So let's just advance this because we're about to win this war. It's going to take us a few weeks. You can kind of see my armies advancing really, really fast, and Poland being eaten away by the powerful German army. And as we're going to take Warsaw in a few seconds, the event will trigger that will have Poland surrender. In a few more seconds, I'm going to go a little bit faster here. And by the way, if this music becomes really annoying, you can always turn it off. Because it does kind of, it's not for everyone, it does get a little bit too patriotic. So you can always turn it off and put on your own music. The fall of Warsaw, another victory for the fatherland. We have won the war against Poland. And so here, basically, you have so many opportunities to start another war somewhere else, and this is where it's up to you to decide where you're going to go. Are you going to go straight for Soviet Union, or are you going to go west into France, like it happened historically, and also take Denmark and all of the other countries on the way. Alright, Poland has been capitulated. We have to partition Poland with Soviet Union now, and we're going to give them the share that we promised them. Now, the awesome part about this game is that there's just so much stuff going on here and so much to learn that I personally am absolutely loving this, even though I am quite familiar with Hearts of Iron, but it might not be for everyone. Now, one thing I haven't shown you is, of course, the naval battles, and here we can actually select our submarines and send them to go and harass the British fleet, or actually harass their convoys. We're going to select convoy rating and have them basically destroy the British convoys so we can actually try to starve the British into submission, just like it happened historically. And here we go, so we're going to partition Poland with the Soviets, and they get the half and we get the other half. But this, of course, as it happened historically, didn't really stop the Germany from advancing into Soviet Union later on. So this is something that you can plan as well. And every time you conquer a country, or basically take more space for yourself, you'll notice that your military factors will actually increase in number because you're taking off industry from someone else. So the more you conquer, the more powerful you become, obviously. But anyway, as I mentioned before, the game is still not really perfect. It's kind of like the idea of lag here is kind of bugging me. It does get really, really slow as you progress through the game, but nevertheless, it's still worth the purchase because it is actually one of the better, if not the best, grand strategy games out there, and I'm definitely going to enjoy this for a few months to come. So that's all I wanted to do in this video. Hopefully you learn a little bit about how to play this game, you know a little bit more about it and its complexity, and you will possibly consider buying it, even though technically I don't even know why I'm promoting it, because I just love the company, I think. The company is great, their games are awesome, and this is actually their new installment, which is going to give me lots of hours of excitement and pleasure. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Game you later, and let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more of Hearts of Iron videos and if you've enjoyed watching this video as well. And if not, we'll just continue with something else. Game you later. Bye-bye. And let's go back to Berlin and enjoy time with our families.